I dropped some choice words and, I ended up getting a call from my manager, and he said that I was being fined by both 343 and United. And I'm like, all right, well, screw it.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Geeks and Gamers Play, and I am joined by a very special guest. We actually have a professional Halo player here. You might know him. You've probably seen some of his streams if you hang around my channel as well. But I'll let the man introduce himself. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. My name's Tyler Ganza, aka Spartan. Not very original when it came to my gamer tag, but I'm a professional Halo player, and I currently play for United.
Awesome. I've seen some of your gameplay. Definitely a top tier player, that's for damn sure. Now, the reason why we've got you here today, Spartan, is you've been kicking up a bit of a hornet's nest lately, and you're in a little bit of trouble with 343, the current owners of our beloved Halo franchise. Mm-hmm. So before we jump into that a little bit, do you want to give us a bit of a backstory on how you got into becoming a pro Halo player? And just your experience with Halo in general?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been playing Halo since I was a kid. I remember Halo, I didn't even know what Halo CE was. I think I was in like first or second grade, and I got off the bus, and my older brother was getting me from the bus stop, and he's like, "Dad got you a surprise." And then we go home, and it's an Xbox, and then Halo's there, and then me and my older brother start playing, and I've been a Halo addict since, and I've just been playing Halo religiously. I started competing when Halo 4 dropped at like unofficial tournaments, and then I went pro in 2015 with Halo 2 Anniversary, and I've been pro for 7 years now.
Awesome. Halo 4, what did you think of that one? Because that one's a bit divided.
To be blunt, Halo 4's multiplayer was absolutely horrible. Definitely I would say the worst multiplayer out of all of them. They went from Halo Reach to Halo 4, and it was just, I don't know. Like from a competitive standpoint too, like, casual view aside, like the game was just too easy. Like the bullet magnetism, the aim assist, everything, like it basically aimed for you. And they changed up the whole meta with being able to sprint and regain your shields like infinitely. It was just bad. Nobody liked it. And I'm kind of glad that they strayed away from that. Yeah. So that definitely my least favorite Halo experience.
And we were talking a little bit about this before we went live. You actually don't mind Halo 5 from a competitive standpoint, you were saying?
From a competitive standpoint, I can see the casual side of things and why the game kind of fell short for the casual side. But from a competitive standpoint, it was actually a pretty solid game. Later on, I should say, for the first 2 years of competing, we had to play with the entire sandbox. And Halo 5 sandbox, like every weapon was just so powerful that, I don't know, like we would spawn in with assault rifles and pistols, and then there was weapons on the map, like the storm rifle. The storm rifle was like super OP. Like you could zoom in with it, you could make people one shot in like 2 or 3 bullets, and like it was insane. If you go back and watch like early Halo 5 tournaments, the game looks so much different compared to the later Halo 5 tournaments. Once we got past a certain point, I think it was after the second World Championship, they finally listened to us because they were kind of like forcing the settings upon us. And then like eventually they were like, all right, we'll try your way. And they removed all like automatic weapons because the automatic weapons were just too strong. It became like a much better game from a competitor standpoint. It just became more about individual skill and like less RNG, less randomness from like people just using, super OP weapons compared to what you have off your spawn.
And then that leads us into the most recent one, Halo Infinite. Now, from a gameplay perspective, I like Halo Infinite. I think its gameplay is really good. Again, like we spoke a little bit before we started this, we both agreed that it's a good blend of old school meeting new school. It's a good middle ground. Yeah, I think it's like a good evolution as well. Like it's just taken all the right steps forward in terms of gameplay. Everything else, no. Like there is not a whole lot going on. Like when it dropped, I was super excited. It felt like Halo to me. It really pulled me back into it. It was the first time that I really cared about my rank in Halo. And Season 2, I haven't even played a ranked game.
Yeah.
Were you pretty excited for the launch of this game when it dropped?
Yeah, I mean, so like at the end, like towards the later end of Halo 5, like I think the last official HCS tournament was like in 2018. So we had to wait 3 years for Halo Infinite to come out. So we were all just like waiting and waiting and waiting. Like a lot of us went back to school, got normal jobs, like, you know what I mean? So like we were all just anticipating the launch of Halo Infinite so bad. And then they dropped Halo Infinite, like, or the multiplayer part of it anyway, like a month early, and we were all like, let's go. So like the game came out and everything, like you said, like core gameplay, I love the game. Like I love the game and its potential. I enjoy the gunfights that I get into. I enjoy that all of the sandbox is viable but not overpowered to the point where certain guns certain guns are used for specific situations that like there's not any guns that you run to and have to get them like off your spawn. You're running to get a specific weapon because if you're not picking up that weapon, you're trolling. That's how the game feels, at least without the mangler, but we'll get into that. I made a comment on your YouTube video, and I'll explain why, from a competitive player standpoint, the gun was just ridiculous at like higher levels of play. But mangler aside, like, you know, all of the sandbox is viable in specific situations and not super like overpowered to the point where, like I said, like you're trolling if you're not going and picking stuff up. So like for like core gameplay, I think the game is really good and its potential is really good, but everything else, like there's just so many bugs. The UI is terrible. Like I don't know why they made the UI that way that they did.
I much preferred it when like the grenades was in like the top left corner. To me, it just felt so much easier. I could just look at my screen, just glance at it, and I had all the information that I needed, as opposed to having to like going, all right, what do I have equipped? What do I have? Yeah. And that just kind of did my head in quite a bit. But yeah, when the game dropped, like to me, it was a honeymoon phase that lasted, I'd say, 2 months.
Yeah.
You know, within like the first 2 weeks, you know, some of the cracks did start to show. I will admit that, but you know, I was still really enjoying it. I was having fun playing with it. I still am enjoying playing with it. I dropped the game for months just when I was finished with it, and then season 2 dropped.
Yeah.
But it became very evident that there's just bare bones at best with all this. Like you look back on like Halo 3, Halo 4, Halo Reach, even Halo 2. Like you look what like launched with compared to what this launched.
Yeah,
with.
like it's just missing so many things that should have been in from launch. I really don't know what goes on in the studio. I don't know what goes into game development. I'm not a game dev, but I do know that when you look at other video game titles or other AAA developers, or even some small even indie devs, like they drop a game and they're constantly updating the game, and when something's broken, it's hot fixed immediately. Like with the season 2 patch that just dropped, or the season 2 update, my gun is literally broken. Like it won't shoot. I'm in the middle of a BR gunfight. I shoot 3 times and then I pull the trigger and my gun doesn't shoot. So the other person kills me. And I'm just like, oh, all right, cool, man. Like a first person shooter where I can't shoot. And it's like, it's been over a week and they still haven't patched that. And like, how many employees do they have? They have hundreds of employees. So like, how is this a thing? I just don't understand like how a AAA title just has just such incompetence, to be honest. It's very frustrating from competitive player and a casual player perspective. Like
I mean, it was at the point where you know, Big Team Battle was broken over the Christmas break for a month. Like, so what was the point of dropping a game early if you're just going to fill it full of bugs and then you can't fix the bugs because everyone's on a Christmas break? Like, the whole game mode was broken.
Yeah,
so they literally had more than 3 friends to play with. Too bad.
Yeah, they dropped the game and then they were like, peace, vacation time. I mean, don't get me wrong, everyone's entitled to a vacation, but goddamn, like someone's got to be working on it, you know?
Or even just to monitor it, just to keep up to date. And then, of course, there was the whole microtransaction stuff where stuff was it still is, in my opinion, just way overpriced for what you actually get.
Yeah, I haven't, so like, I've never really been too crazy on customization. I know there's a lot of people who are, dude. Like one of my own teammates, Nick, is like super into customization. But I don't care. Like I throw on a team skin and I'm happy with it, you know. Mm-hmm. So, but like I've heard from many people that like everything's just overpriced. The challenge system's apparently horrible. I've never done a challenge. Like I don't really care. Like all I do on this game is I launch the game and I either A, play ranked, or B, I'm in a Discord where people play eights, which is basically just a giant Discord full of 10, 20 people will join a call. We pick 2 captains. Each captain picks teams, and then we play custom games. Like that's basically all I ever do in the off season anyway. Like during the on season, I'm scrimming with my team, which is like where we practice against another team. But that's all I ever do. So like I don't pay attention much to like the shop, the customization, like any of that. And so like I've heard just from multiple people on Twitter, on my stream, that like shit's just crazy in the shop.
Oh, it's
like,
ridiculous. And the challenge system forces you, if you want to progress through like the challenges in the battle pass to unlock more stuff, it forces you to play certain ways, which I really don't like that. Because there'll be a challenge like get 10
killjoys.
sniper
I
rifle
remember I saw one that was like get 5 killjoys, and it's like, what am I supposed to suicide? Give the guy a killing spree, and then and then go kill him. Like I have seen that one. That one's pretty bad.
Yeah, that one was absolutely ridiculous. So there's multiple problems across the board. Then there's the whole lack of content. And then we get to the season 2 drop where it's going for 6 months for a whole season, which is insane. Like that is absolutely insane.
It's rough. Yeah.
And they're trying to justify it as like, oh, well, we need more time to get our shit together to get like season 3 and 4 together. It's like, well, what have you been doing this whole time?
So like it's like so to an extent I understand it being a 6-month season, especially in the game's current state. But it's like their biggest thing, I feel like they said that it was going to be 6 months, is like quality of life. And it's like, okay, you guys haven't added anything to the game since its launch that's been quality of life, you know? Like, so like I don't understand why you're pushing that whole quality of life bullcrap when, you know, like nothing's really been done. We still don't have Forge. Theater mode is broken. Observer mode's horrible. Desync is, I think it's probably worse with the Season 2 update. I think it's probably worse with the Season 2 update, to be honest. Like, I feel like I was getting shot around walls, like, occasionally, but now I feel like it's, like, almost every time I'm trying to play my life, and it's very frustrating. And like I said, dude, like, it's a first-person shooter, and I can't shoot my gun properly. Like, dudes, I don't know if you've seen the clips out there of people, like, using the Sentinel beam, where they're holding the trigger, and it just randomly stops shooting.
Oh, I haven't seen. I've seen a lot of the battle rifle ones, but not Sentinel ones. That's ridiculous.
I've seen it happen to people with automatic guns, like the Commando. They're holding the trigger, and the Commando shoots like 5-6 bullets, and then it just stops shooting. And it's like, how are you gonna put out an update where the guns don't work properly and then not fix it within like the first 2 days? Like you're a AAA game dev. Like this should have been done already. My tweets wouldn't have been a thing if it was already fixed. So it's like, come on, man. Just it's been over a week now. Like something's got to give. Speaking
of your tweets, that's kind of what landed you in a bit of hot water. Do you want to break down the story of what happened from your point of view?
Yeah. So I had just gotten back from HDS Kansas City, and if you don't know what that is, it was like it was the most recent major, most recent major tournament. Basically, the difference between minor and major. So minor tournaments are where it's locked to one region, and then major tournaments are where they have every region compete. Mm-hmm. So we just got back from HCS Kansas City, which was a major where, you know, all teams from all over, you know, the US, Australia, Mexico, Europe all came over. Everybody competed. You know, the event finished. My team finished 4th. Sentinels ended up winning. So, you know, everybody gets home, and then I think we got home on like the 1st or the 2nd. We might have even been traveling home on the day of the patch. The 3rd was a Tuesday, so we were traveling home on Monday the 2nd. So the patch dropped the next day. During on season, all of the pros are grinding. Like we're playing the game like 8 hours a day. We're scrimming like 6-7 days a week. So like after a major tournament, we usually all take like a few days off. Some go straight back to it. Most people take a week or 2 off. I tend to take like 3 or 4 days to myself personally. So like update drops on the 3rd. I'm seeing all these tweets. I'm seeing updates from people like, oh, you know, new season's looking pretty cool. New map's cool. I'm like, all right, you know, this new season's not looking too bad. And then like a day later on the 4th, I see all of my like fellow like competitors tweeting about how their guns aren't working and all that. And I'm just like, dude, I don't know if I want to get back into this so soon. But, you know, Halo addict in me, you know, I tweeted, I was like, well, I'm not playing this until it's broken or until it's fixed. And then, you know, I end up playing it, whatever. After my first day on, I was livid. I was literally livid. Like before, like, so like preseason 2, obviously we had our bugs, right? But the game was playable. It was fun. I was having a good time with it, especially competing. And then like now we get home and my gun's not shooting. So the game's like borderline unplayable. I'm getting into gunfights that I'm losing that I should be winning because my gun didn't shoot when I tried to shoot. because it jammed. So I'm livid. I'm losing full. I'm literally roasting the game on stream. I'm roasting the devs, whatever. And then I took to Twitter and I just, I lost full. I was like, this is just flat out unacceptable. Like, how is this even a thing? Do people even test these updates? I don't know what exactly got me fined, like which tweets. I'm sure everyone could do some research and it would probably be obvious. I'm guessing I know which tweets. I dropped some choice words and I ended up getting a call from my manager and he said that I was being fined by both 343 and United. And I'm like, all right, well, screw it.
One thing that I don't understand, I can understand your manager fining you because that's part of your contract and all that stuff, but how does 343 get involved into this?
So I'm not exactly 100% sure, if I'm being honest. I don't know how it works. I don't know if it's because of the contract between E United and 343, because there's the partner program. I don't know if you know about that, but so there's the esports partner program where currently there's like 9 teams. There's like Sentinels, Optic, Cloud9, E United, Navi, FaZe, G2, Space Station, and Fnatic. So they're all a part of like the esports program. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's only partnered players that can be fined. There is like an HCS like handbook that displays like fine amounts and for what. I don't know if that's only for partnered players or for any competitor. I honestly don't know how it would work though. Like if you're not a partnered player and they fine you, I don't know. Do you pay the fine out of your? I mean, so I am paying the fine out of my own pocket, right? But like I think the way it's going to work is, E United pays me a monthly salary. Mm-hmm. They're probably just going to take the fine out of my monthly salary, I guess. Like, I don't know how that's going to work exactly. But like, let's say you're not a partner player and you're not being paid by an org. Like, what do you do? Like, do you just pay the fine or do they suspend you until you pay it? Like, I honestly have no idea how it works. My guess is that only partnered players can be fined. I don't know. It's the only thing that makes sense to me, I guess. I don't.
The big question.
Yeah.
Do you regret doing it?
No, not at all.
Good man.
I was raised by my mom to give respect the way that you want to receive it. Okay, so that's one thing. The second thing is my dad raised me not to be a bitch. So you mix the two together and you have me, and I'm never gonna change. Like I'm gonna say what's on my mind. I'm gonna say how I want to say it. If I'm frustrated, it's probably gonna be more choice words than the average person might use, and if I'm actually like being level-headed, it'll be constructive. There comes a point, dude, where like enough is enough. This company has had this title for 10, probably like they took over at the end of Reach, like gotta be like going on 11 years now, and like it's just been failure after failure after failure, and I'm sick of it, dude. I want to see this game freaking succeed. It's one of the most like stapled first person shooters ever, and it's just like it's failing because of just pure incompetence. And it's very frustrating because like I see these other esports titles succeeding, and like I know Halo can do it too, but like it's not because they are just fumbling the bag over and over. I lost full. Like I just got super checked. Like, like I would make fun of the game before, right? Like before season 2, I'd be like, this game is perfect, esports ready. Like I would just joke around, screw around. But like this update, just I lost full, man. Like I said, I've said it like 3 or 4 times already. Like it's a first person shooter and I can't shoot my gun properly. Like there's a big problem with that. So like, I tweeted what I tweeted and I don't regret it at all. I'm not apologizing to anybody. If somebody asks me for an apology, they're not getting one. Like I stand by what I said wholeheartedly.
Oh, I agree with what you said. Have you found how have you found like the reception from like the Halo community from what you said, both from competitive and just a casual side?
I'd say more or less people have been supportive. I think there's a lot of people out there who hate me, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not trying to please everybody. I'm also a giant troll. Like if people come at me on Twitter, I'll go back at them, tell them to like, it's just how basically, I just don't really give a damn. I think that's part of the reason E United find me is because they don't like me, going back at people. But I mean, like, that's me. Like you come at, I don't go out of my way to go at somebody, but if somebody comes at me, it's on. Like I'm going. Like it's, that's just how I am. That's how I was raised. It goes back to what I said about my dad. My dad always raised me to be like, don't be a dick to somebody just to do it. But if they're being a dick to you, it's do what you want to do. So that's just how I am. I'm never going to change. It doesn't matter how old I am. People always bring up my age. You're 27, be the bigger man. No, I don't care. Like you came at me. I will say whatever the hell I want back to you. If you're going to give me respect first, then I will give you respect back. So like the overall reception of the fine has been, I feel like more or less it's been very positive. There's definitely a lot of, people who are like, screw you, you deserve this, you're a fucking loser, blah, blah, blah. And it's fine. I don't care. Like I said, I'm not apologizing to anybody, but the exposure has been something that's been really, really good for me, at least. Like all my tweets have been doing numbers. My streams have been popping off lately. I didn't ask anyone for anything, but I made enough money from donations and everything to cover the fine. So it's
that doesn't surprise me. I feel like people just respect and really appreciate honesty, whether they agree with you or not. It's the honesty, it's the integrity that people really like, especially in this situation where you're kind of going up against a very big corporation, a AAA gaming industry. So you're almost like the underdog in this situation in a weird way. But I also think another part comes down to the fact you didn't back down from as well. Like time and time again, whatever industry it is, people will do something and you go, they're kind of in the right, and then they'll back down once they get a bit of heat.
I very rarely backtrack. If I say something and I believe in it, but then, I like a bunch of people come to me with a different perspective and I see it differently, I will backtrack and learn from it. But I feel like that's very rare because I just wholeheartedly believe in what I'm saying most of the time. And like generally, I feel like most people agree with me. My Twitter makes me look like a completely different person than I am like on my stream or in person. Because like I said, I'm a giant troll. That's just how I am. I love screwing with people. And that like the best way to put it is like, I don't say anything on the internet that I wouldn't say to somebody in person, but a lot of other people are not the same way. So that's my favorite, is just knowing that like when people come at me, right? Like I know for a fact they wouldn't say that shit to me in person. Yeah. Like, so like when you're going up against, something big, and if you fully believe in what you're doing, like you shouldn't back down. Truly. Like I don't care how many times you find me, man. Like I'm not going to stop saying what I believe in because I want the game to be better. Ultimately, this is my career right now, right? And let's be honest, like the career is probably not going to last forever. I'm realistic. I know that. I would like it to last forever, but it's sure as shit not going to last forever if the company can't get their shit together. You know what I mean? So like I'm fighting for the game to be better. The people at the game studio need to do better. There's just no reason that a staple game like Halo that's been around for 20 years to be flopping the way it is. It's downright unacceptable. They're making the game and themselves look like a joke. And like I said, more or less people agree with me. And when eventually them they're gonna put out some sort of public piece about me being fined, and I think it's gonna make them look really bad.
Can you talk how much the fine is?
So I can't say the exact number yet. Once they announce it, I can talk about it. But I know what it is. I'll say it's in between $3,000 to $4,000.
Fuck, that's pretty hectic. So let's just go over 343's history. So they take over from Bungie, who gave us this god tier franchise. Mm-hmm. We get Halo 4. Terrible gameplay. I thought you both agreed on that. Yeah. Terrible gameplay. The story, I didn't mind the plot line because, well, I like the plot line, but it requires outside reading to actually understand what's going on. So Halo 4, a bit whatever. Halo 5, you've raised good points as to why you enjoy the multiplayer from a competitive standpoint.
The multiplayer, yeah.
But holy fuck, that campaign can die in the darkest depths of hell. Yeah, that is the worst shit ever, man. That campaign.
It was so bad. So I'm not a big campaign guy. I haven't played. Actually, I think the only campaign I haven't played is Infinite. I mean, I haven't played like any of the RTS. Like I haven't played like Halo Wars or anything like that. Mm-hmm. I played like all just like the mainline games. I played Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, Reach, 4, 5. But I'm not like a big, like I said, like I'm not a big lore guy. I don't really pay too much attention to the lore. I just played the campaigns to play them. Halo 2, honestly, no, Halo Reach was probably my favorite campaign. That campaign was sick. But Halo 4's campaign, I honestly had no idea what the hell was going on. but that, like you said, that requires like outside reading. That requires like knowing lore. I didn't know what was going on. I had fun with it. I played it from start to finish. like I said, I don't really pay too much attention to campaigns, but I do know for a fact that Halo 5's campaign was dog water, like just absolutely terrible.
Oh, it sucked ass. And then around the same time, we had the Master Chief Collection drop. And now I've argued that I believe MCC's launch is still worse than what Infinite is now. That was awful.
Oh man. I remember it was the first Halo title that was going to be 60 FPS because it was on the Xbox One, which had come out the year prior. The Xbox One launched with like no games.
Yeah, it had like some Rome game or some shit, and Titanfall 1.
Yeah, it had no games at launch. And I remember Destiny 1 came out probably 2 or 3 months before MCC. So a lot of people were playing that in like anticipation of MCC. And then I remember launch night finally comes. I pre-ordered it online. Like I'm not really a disc guy anymore. I don't really care. I just want to play my games. I remember I pre-installed it, everything. 12:01 rolls around. I launch it. I'm in a party chat with my friends from high school. I'm like, dude, let's go. And we can't even search. Like we can't search a game. And I'm like, oh boy, like here we go. Yeah, dude, that might be one of the worst launches in Halo history, or not, in video game history.
Yeah,
like it was bad. It's actually kind of funny too, because when you look at MCC now compared to where it launched, like, could you imagine how good it would have been if Halo MCC could have launched the way it is now? Like, that would have been one of the most receptive things ever. The idea behind it was phenomenal, but the execution was just beyond poor. Like whatever's below poor, like 6 feet under poor, is like that's what that was.
See, I didn't own it on console because I didn't have an Xbox One, but a lot of my friends bought it. So I went over to play with them. Like, yep, let's go. You know, like you said, we're back in high school, man. We're going back to these days. Let's do it. Let's get on the Halo 3 lobbies and talk bad shit. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Game doesn't work. Like, what do you mean it doesn't work? Like, it doesn't work. See you in a few years, man.
Yeah.
And then that leads us into Infinite. So 343, you know, it's been a bit of a bumpy road to say the least. And then here we are with Infinite. Do you think Infinite can improve down the line?
Oh, absolutely, man. To what we said earlier, the core gameplay is really good. I think that the sandbox is, you know, with some tweaking to certain things, like it's only going to get better. I think that the sandbox is viable. I like the movement. That's another thing. Like with the season 2 update, like why did they nerf the movement? Nobody asked for that. Nobody asked for it, dude. Like
took the fun out of it.
So you can still G slide. I don't know if you know exactly what G sliding is, but it's like when you're on a surface, like let's say you're on top of a box and you run off the box and you hit the slide button at the correct frame, you slide kind of far. So you can still G slide, but they nerfed, like if you're on recharge and you're by like the C platform, like the Cobra spawn, you used to be able to jump off the platform and slide off the staircase and go straight to where the camouflage spawns. Now if you do that, you can't even reach the camouflage. Like they just nerfed it for no reason. And then like there's like certain like surfaces that you were able to stand on top of that they just removed. The biggest hit for competitive play, which really hit like the competitive players hard, probably not so much the casuals. There was a jump that you were able to do on streets when you were in front of the where the pillars are and the B stronghold spawns.
Yeah.
When you run down driveway to where the thrust spawns, there was a little ledge you could jump on, and then you could, as you jump on it, you could turn to your right and jump up and clamber onto the little balcony where the commando spawns, like down that staircase.
Yeah.
And with this update, you can't do that anymore.
Oh, you can't make that jump anymore.
No, you can't do that jump anymore. They removed it. And that is a really big hit to competitive players, because when you're like basically all like the other team, right? They have control of like where C is, and they have control of where A is. Your whole team is spawning B. And the biggest way that you would break getting into C was you would have someone do that jump, and while they're doing that jump, you would have other people push in from down low. You can't do that anymore. Unless like the thrust is on spawn. You can thrust up and clamber, but the thrust takes a minute to spawn. The thrust isn't always going to be there. So now you just have to funnel down into the doorway, and people just throw grenades at you. It's a choke point that you can't get through. They really screwed the competitive players. And obviously not everything is about esports, not everything is about competitive, but that's like a thing the casuals didn't even ask for. Like nobody asked for that. I don't understand.
But that was also a type of jump that you would see just in ranked mode or quick play anyway. It wasn't exactly the hardest jump to perform. You know, a little bit of practice and anyone could pull it off. But I didn't know they took that away. That's stupid.
Yep.
It took away quite a few of those jumps.
They really screwed up because
Did they ever
like,
put out a reason for why?
not that I'm aware of. I mean, I'm sure in Halo Waypoint patch notes somewhere they put something, but
next
nothing.
to where they're promoting their crappy TV show that's not canon, and Have you
Which
seen
I
any of
haven't
the show,
watched.
by the way?
I have not watched the show.
You lucky man, don't.
I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard like if you don't really care about the original Halo lore, the show is good. But like if you like the lore, like the original Halo lore, that the show is terrible.
Yeah, I would argue even just as a TV show, it's pretty poor. But that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. That's something I would probably watch when the season's over, just as a quick binge, like to see if I like it, if anything. But I haven't even bothered to go watch it.
Speaking of things that are kind of screwed over competitive players, all right, now we're going to get into the Mangler argument. Present your case as to why the Mangler should be nerfed in Halo Infinite.
Okay, so one thing I want to make clear is that I'm fairly certain that most of the pro players, we did not ask for a nerf. There was a huge disconnection between the casual side and the competitive side. Before I actually get into like the Mangler mechanics and why it was busted at a high competitive level, there was just this huge disconnection between casuals and pros. Like the casuals are like, oh, you want a one gun game, like just the BR, you're boring, blah 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 blah. You're get good, you suck, and I'm just like, I don't know where this disconnection is coming from. I just want the Mangler out of competitive play. Like I'm not trying to nerf the casual game unless it genuinely needs a nerf. I feel like there's a lot of times where a game comes out and anybody can agree that something needs to be nerfed, right? Mm-hmm. The biggest thing I could think of is Modern Warfare 2, the Model 1887. Like,
oh, the Akimbos, yeah. Boom,
that shit was busted.
Boom, yeah.
Like anybody knew that shit was busted, right? So it's like, we weren't asking for a nerf. We were asking for it to just simply be removed from competitive play. And apparently, because there's no forge in the game and they have to code everything manually, it's coded on a pad. It's on the same code as the sidekick. Yeah. And so we were like, okay, switch it to the sidekick. That's it. That's all we need. They wouldn't do that. So they went ahead and nerfed melee damage. Nobody asked for that either.
Yeah, so that caught me off guard when the season dropped. I did like
now they nerfed like other, like it used to be a 4-shot sidekick melee. Now it's a 5. Yep. It used to be a 4-shot melee with commando. Now it's 5 or 6. I don't know. We didn't ask for that. Like, so I don't know where that nerf came from. We just said remove the Mangler. I'll get into why the gun at a high level. So I'm trying to think of how to put this. Most of the player base, right? When you look at any game with an elo-based system, most of the player base is in gold or platinum. So when you get to those higher ranks, mechanics, guns, like everything is going to be abused to its fullest because players are going to utilize whatever is on the map to win the game and win their gunfights. When you're at a lower rank, you don't really think about all those things too much. And I've seen that firsthand with lower ranked players that come to me for coaching and they're like, oh, I didn't think of that. I run by the assault rifle all the time and never pick it up. And I'm like, well, the Mangler was a gun at a high level where if you ran by it and didn't pick it up, you were throwing the game. That's how powerful it was. And on top of that, it's not like the heat wave or the shock rifle or anything where you pick up one and you can't pick up another until it's emptied. It was a gun where you pick it up and it spawned again in 30 seconds. So there would come a point on live fire where 5 or 6 people would have one on the map at all times. 1, way too many on the map at once. 2, so much ammo. 3, the one-shot beatdown. So the one-shot beatdown, the problem is, right, people try to compare it to the Halo 3 Mauler. Mm-hmm. Think about how close you had to be to somebody to do damage with the Mauler, first of all, because it was a shotgun pellet. It wasn't a projectile.
Yeah, it was point blank.
So you literally had to be next to somebody to do that damage to get the one-shot melee. Think about how fast you could move around the map in Halo Infinite compared to Halo 3. Mm-hmm. You could literally, there was so many times where a high-tier player would literally just G-slide off something, one-hit Mangler you. That's it. And that would happen a lot. And then you pair that with the drop weapon bind. So that's another thing that needs a nerf. I like the idea of dropping weapons, right? I like the idea hey, I have rockets and sniper. Why don't you take one? I'll drop it off for you. I think it's a great idea. But why, when you drop a weapon, does your other gun come up instantly? Why is it not like a swap weapon animation? So now at a high level, most high tier, like high level players, they're playing on controllers that have paddles on the back or buttons on the back that can be mapped to any other button. I play with a default controller personally, so I can't even really do the drop weapon bind. Which sucks for me, but it is what it is. So you pair the Mangler with the fact that it's a damn near almost instant projectile speed. You would shoot people twice, make them one shot, and they would drop their weapon, pull up the BR, and kill you instantly.
Yeah, you get to hold this.
Yeah, and there was no way you were ever winning that gunfight, ever. Like, it didn't matter what weapon you had, whether you just had a BR, whether you had an assault rifle, a needler, anything. Like, the Mangler 2-shot drop into, like, the BR headshot will win, like, 99% of the time unless the person misses their shot. And it just got to the point, if you watch the first 2 Halo Infinite events, so, like, Raleigh and Anaheim, everybody was using the Mangler. If you watch it, like, I went back and I watched some of the matches, dude, like, everybody had a Mangler, like, at all times. On Bazaar, on Livefire, Recharge, like, there was just so many on the map. And it was just Mangler gameplay. It was literally just people 1-2 drop, shoot. 1-2 drop, shoot the whole tournament, the whole time. And none of the other sandbox was even really important. It was like, all right, we just need a Mangler. You know, grab the Mangler, the snipe, the rockets. Like, that's all you need. Like, you don't really need anything else. So then after Anaheim, basically the whole entire competitive community decided to GA the Mangler. What a GA is basically a gentleman's agreement to not pick it up.
Yep.
And the game just flowed so much better. You didn't have to worry about getting 2-shot dropped. Like, dude, I remember try playing. So like, a lot of people they'll say like, just back away, forehead, like, you know, like, just back away from the Mangler. It's not that simple, man. Like, when you're playing against a player like Lucid, one of the best players in the game, there's no backing away. There's no, it's just like you're dead. If you're in his line of sight and he has a Mangler, you're dead. That's just how it is, because these players are just phenomenal players at just a high level play. It took too much away from the core gameplay, and it just became, you know, he's got a Mangler. You know, that guy's got a Mangler. Be careful. He's got a Mangler. And I remember playing Lucid in, I think it was an online tournament. I was on top tower on Livefire, and he was all the way at A platform, and he 2-shot Manglered me from that far because of the fact that it's a projectile. It's not like the Mauler from Halo 3. It's a projectile shot that you can hit anybody from anywhere, and there's no damage drop off. So that's where this big disconnect came from between casuals and like esports players. Like, we're not trying to completely just take over your game and overhaul your game. We want our competitive experience to be the best it can be while still maintaining like your integrity. We did not ask for the nerf. We wanted the gun just simply removed from competitive and switched out for the sidekick, or, you know, just removed completely, whatever. But instead, they just turn around, they nerf melee damage. They screw up guns. They like gun jams. I mean, they add trigger dead zones that nobody asked for. They remove jumps and nerf the movement. Nobody asked for that. Like, so then like we get blamed, right? Like, we get all the heat and the flack because like, yeah, we do to an extent. We do have a bigger say. And I think that just comes from having a following, right? Like, we have a bigger following than casual players because we're in the limelight. We're competing in front of thousands of viewers. Raleigh had 200,000 viewers in the grand finals. I was playing in front of 200,000 people. You know, Kansas City, there was like anywhere from 60 to 100K watching. Like, yeah, we're in the limelight. People follow us. They want to follow these players. And we essentially have a bigger say, but that's only because of our following, right? Like, we put something out there and way more people see it than, you know, Jimmy down in gold who makes a statement that nobody's ever going to see. You know what I mean? So we catch a lot of heat because they think that 343 is catering to us, but we're not asking for these things, man. Like, that's where this big disconnect is. So I always troll. I always say like the casual community needs to get a grip, which like I kind of stand by in a little bit, in a sense. Like, yeah, I'm trolling mostly, but in a sense, I'm saying get a grip and understand that we're not getting catered to. We're really not, and neither are they. And like nobody's being catered to, the casuals or the pros. Nobody's being catered to. Nobody's being listened to. So
yeah, that's very true. Well, when you first kicked up, the competitive community kicked up a bit of a storm about the Mangler. Was there a bit of a heat from 343 coming down on you like there is now? Obviously, without the fine.
No. I mean, 343 didn't really say anything. I think they were on vacation or something. Like,
Oh, how convenient.
yeah, like they didn't really say anything. They didn't say anything after we GA'd it either. So like after the HCS Anaheim event, like we all like all the pros got home. We were playing like an eights. We were playing like pro eights or whatever. That goes like back to what I said earlier, how we're all in a Discord. We pick teams, whatever. And we played a series, and I was like, dude, I'm not playing this shit anymore unless we GA the Mangler. And like that just caught on. Like everybody just like we're like, let's try playing the game without the Mangler. And we just started not picking it up, and it just kind of caught on. And 343 didn't really say anything. So I mean, that's a positive. That they didn't like enforce us to like try to use the gun, which I don't know how they would do that anyway, because it's like
make you spawn with it.
They're like, oh, you guys are purposely not picking up the Mangler. Like all we have to say is like, no, we just forgot to pick it up. And how are they going to prove otherwise? Like you can't. So
yeah.
I don't really think that 343 had much of a say of us GAing it. Yeah, there was definitely a huge disconnect at the beginning of the game between like competitors and casuals when it came to the Mangler, for sure.
Well, your shitstorm on Twitter's probably done the most to build the bridge that anyone's ever done. So GG's on that.
Yeah.
Do you reckon there's a chance 343 won't be too happy about you doing this now?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. One, I don't know if they pay attention enough. Two, if they do, what I don't know. Find me again, man. Like, fuck you.
Find me again. Fuck you. Oh, there we go. Perfect. You couldn't have said that any better.
It goes back to what I said earlier. I'm not going to be silenced. I don't care if I'm breaching my contract. Find me all you want, man. I told my manager. I literally told my manager word for word. He asked me if I could like chill with the tweets, and I said no. I said I'm not going to be a puppet. I'm not going to be controlled. I said find me, fire me, bench me, do what you want to do. I'm me. That's how I am. He didn't respond. So,
have you copped a bit of hate from other competitive players?
No, not at all.
No.
It's just kind of become a meme between everybody. I don't think there's a single competitive player that actually disagrees with me, at least publicly, or I've gotten plenty of direct messages, like off stream messages. I've talked with people off stream. Not a single person has had anything negative to say about what I've said. If anything, they've all kind of laughed at it. They've kind of said like, nothing but respect to you for, not backing down, or just you have a big set of balls. There hasn't been anything negative from any other competitors. So, I mean, that's been nice to know that at least like they have my back. It'd be nice if other pros like vocalize a bit more. Some will get vocal, but they're not very, they don't hammer down on it. They'll make like
I think it was Lucid for one of the updates during season 1, where it was during like the patch notes. He just replied in a tweet saying like, "Is this it?" or something like that. And that caught a bit of wind, but to another.
Well, you also have to take into account Lucid's on Optic. That Optic juice, everybody wants to interact with like anybody on Optic. So for sure, I wish players like him and like Formal and like other bigger players. I really wish they would hammer down more. I'm not telling them to use words like I use. Like if you don't want to get fined, you don't want to get fined. It's fine. Like,
do you think they would get fined? Do you think there'd be a bit of favoritism played? It's kind of hard to say.
Honestly, I don't know if it'd necessarily be favoritism, but I don't know if they would be fined, mainly because the heat they'd catch. Like they're already catching enough heat with my fine, right? And I'm on a United, which is nowhere near as big as Optic. And you think like a player like Formal gets fined or something like that, like they're just gonna get laughed at. Like they're gonna be the laughing stock. I don't know if they would necessarily fine them, like, because I don't know if they would want to deal with the repercussions of it. I mean, they're supposed to post something about my stuff later today, and I'm genuinely curious to see how that goes for them.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting PR statement, isn't it?
Yeah.
See how that works up. All right, mate. We'll start to wind this one down. Do you have anything coming up you want to promote? What's going on for you in the future, my friend?
Yeah, so HCS Pro Series starts back up towards the end of May, early June. I don't remember the exact date, but basically we'll be competing on Sundays and Thursdays. So anybody on the casual side of things who's curious to see what competitive Halo is like, be sure to check out the Halo stream. Competitive Halo doesn't have to be tied into the developer stuff. HCS is its own separate. It's part of 343, but it's its own separate team and entity. HCS does not develop the game. So everybody over there, amazing people. They're putting on tournaments for us to play in and for you guys to watch. And I'd really love for, more people to check out competitive player streams and check out competitive Halo when it's on. Kind of just get a feel for it. If you don't like it, it's completely fine. But just check it out, see if you like it, and just shout out to everybody over at HCS, even though you're finding me. Competitive Halo is a beautiful thing for sure. Shout out to you for having me on.
Thank you for your time.
Love the other video you put out. I figured it would be a good time getting in a discussion with you about some stuff, and then just shout out to anybody who supports me, whether it's on Twitter or on YouTube or Twitch or whatever. I appreciate everybody.
You stream pretty often on Twitch, don't you?
I stream almost daily. Yeah. I stream almost daily. I either do I'll do 2 4-hour streams, or I'll do a long 8 or 9. Just kind of depends. I stream pretty much exclusively Halo and some Pokemon streams too. I do a lot of Pokemon streams.
All right, best starter.
Wow, put me on that. So I'm a Gen 1 through 3 guy.
Me too. Emerald was the best one.
I would probably either go with Charmander or Mudkip. It's hard to pick between the two because I started off with Pokemon Red, and Charmander and Charizard are my favorite. I'm a basic bitch when it comes to Pokemon. I just love Charizard. I recently started playing up all the Pokemon games again, just kind of something to do to get my mind off, stuff. And I picked up Pokemon Ruby and Emerald and Sapphire, and I played through them, and I was holy crap. I didn't really appreciate these games as much as I should have when I was younger. And so I started playing through them again, and yeah, dude, Mudkip is a beast. I'm loving it. So I don't know if you know anything about Kaizo Ironmon runs, but that's generally what I stream when it comes to Pokemon. It's so RNG and it's so hard. You start off with it's a random starter. All the stats are random. All the move sets are random. The abilities are random. It's basically just the whole game, but randomized. And you have to beat it with one Pokemon. If your Pokemon faints, you have to start all over. I'm on attempt 800 or something. I think it's hard, but it's super RNG. It's super chill. I've gotten to the Elite Four one time in 800 attempts.
Yeah, and then got bodied.
I got to the third trainer. in the Elite Four and then lost it. Because one, I didn't have enough heals because you can't buy heals. You can only find them off the ground. And then the second thing is like I said, random moveset. My moveset was terrible. There's no reason I should have even gotten that far. It's super fun. You should check it out. This is completely unrelated to what we've been talking about. But
all right, and last question, best Halo or favorite Halo?
My favorite Halo, and this is strictly from a multiplayer point of view. Like I said, this is I don't really care too much for the campaigns. I would have to say either Halo 2 or Halo 5, and that's just just strictly multiplayer, and that's just my preference. I liked Halo 3 back in the day, but as I don't know, Halo 3 didn't age well for me. So I'd have to say Halo 2 or Halo 5, just from a multiplayer perspective.
Fair enough. Well, anyway, thank you for your time. Really do appreciate it. We should run a few games sometimes, and you can lose to a casual player, and that will do more damage to you than any fine ever will. But really appreciate you coming on. Everyone, be sure to check out Sparty on his Twitch. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.